On the crisp evening of October 9, 2025, a scene unfolded on the streets of London that felt both jarringly modern and chillingly historical. A group calling themselves the King's Army descended upon Old Compton Street, the vibrant and historic heart of the city's LGBT+ community. Dressed in identical black tracksuits, they marched in a disciplined military-style formation, their voices unified in a repetitive chant of "Jesus saves." Chanting, "Jesus saves." The demonstration was not a spontaneous gathering, but a calculated display. As reported by Humanists UK, the King's Army, founded just a year prior in 2024, identifies as a spiritual army on a mission against what it labels sin and cultural decay. This event was deliberately staged to be intimidating, a show of force in a space long considered a sanctuary for a community they openly oppose. The group's own rhetoric frames their existence in confrontational terms, urging Christians to stop living like civilians and start fighting like soldiers. This language of spiritual warfare was made manifest in their physical presence in Soho, transforming a public thoroughfare into a perceived battleground. The march was not just a local fringe event, it gained a wider audience through online promotion. Turning Point UK, the British offshoot of Charlie Kirk's controversial American conservative organization, amplified the event, highlighting a direct link between UK-based actors and a broader, international far-right ecosystem. The presence of these uniformed activists, marching with purpose, through a neighborhood symbolic of progressive values, sent a clear and threatening message to the residents and patrons of Soho. The reaction on the ground was one of shock and fear. For many, the sight of a uniformed group marching in lockstep and chanting religious slogans was deeply unsettling. According to a report in the Canary, observers described the scene as a bunch of crackpot fundamentalists blocking the street. The King's Army's worldview is one of stark binaries. They see life as a battlefield divided between two opposing armies, with no middle ground. This incident was more than just a protest, it was a potent symbol of a growing trend. It demonstrated how ideologies incubated in one country can be exported and adapted in another, a phenomenon some critics have called the double yankification of British politics. To understand the ideological underpinnings of groups like the King's Army, it is essential to distinguish between two related but distinct concepts: Christian identity and Christian nationalism. Christian identity is a small, radical, and deeply anti-Semitic and racist theology. It is not a mainstream denomination but a fringe belief system. It posits Northern Europeans are the true descendants of the ancient Israelites. Adherents often believe that Jewish people are the satanic offspring of Eve and the serpent, and that non-white races are mud peoples, created before Adam and Eve, without souls. This ideology has been linked to violent white supremacist and terrorist groups in the United States, providing a theological justification for hate and violence. Christian nationalism, while sometimes overlapping with Christian identity politically, is broader and more prevalent. It is a political and cultural framework that seeks to merge national identity with a particular expression of Christianity. Proponents believe their nation is divinely defined as a Christian nation, and that its laws and institutions should reflect conservative Christian values. This often translates into opposing abortion rights, same-sex marriage, secular education. Unlike Christian identity, which is explicitly racial, Christian nationalism can attract a wider base, framing goals as restoring traditional morality and national greatness, a message that can resonate with those feeling displaced by social change. While these ideologies have deep roots in American history, recent data suggests a concerted effort to export them. A study highlighted by Humanists UK notes, Christian nationalism does not have a significant organic foothold in the United Kingdom, yet incidents involving its slogans and tactics are on the rise. The King's Army March is a prime example, where calls for a return to a specific religious order were used to intimidate the LGBT+ community. The slogans and the idea of a spiritual army fighting cultural decay are hallmarks of the American religious rights playbook, now being deployed in a British context to challenge established norms on women's rights and LGBT+ rights. The appearance of American-style Christian nationalist tactics on the streets of London is not a coincidence. It is the result of a well-funded and organized transatlantic pipeline. For years, investigative reports have tracked the flow of money from American conservative and evangelical groups into Europe. A 2020 report by Open Democracy found that various U.S. evangelical organizations had spent over $280 million on advocacy and campaigning across Europe, seeking to influence everything from abortion laws to LGBT rights. Humanists UK has voiced significant alarm over this dark money, arguing that it aims to import the divisive political strategies of the American religious right directly into UK political debates, disrupting a long-standing consensus on many social issues. The New Republic has reported on the activities of the Leadership Institute, a right-wing training powerhouse in the US, with an annual revenue of around $40 million. This organization has been actively supporting operations in the United Kingdom by training activists. For instance, Robert Colquhoun, the UK leader of the anti-abortion group 40 Days for Life, received training at the Leadership Institute's International School of Fundraising. This demonstrates a direct transfer of skills, teaching UK-based activists the same fundraising and campaigning techniques that have proven so effective for the American religious right, allowing them to build more resilient and effective organizations. The ambition of these American groups is explicitly international. Their goal is not just to win political battles at home, but to replicate their successes abroad. Grace Community Church, a megachurch based in America, has undertaken a massive global expansion, planting affiliated churches in numerous international locations, including London. These church plants can serve as local hubs for a particular brand of conservative theology and political activism, creating a grassroots infrastructure that can be mobilized to support specific political causes. Following the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, there has been a noticeable shift in focus, with the United Kingdom being a key target. The King's Army March on October 9, 2025 serves as a textbook example of imported activism. The group's identity and tactics mirror the American religious right. As cited by Humanists UK, they call themselves a coalition of Christians. Stop living like civilians. Start fighting like soldiers. That language is common in certain U.S. evangelical circles. They frame social issues as a spiritual war. It's a powerful tool for mobilization. Opponents are cast not as fellow citizens with different views, but as enemies in a cosmic battle of good and evil. They marched in military formation, down Old Compton Street. They were not seeking converts. They were engaging in territorial intimidation. Turning Point UK promoted the event. Turning Point UK was explicitly modeled on Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA is known for aggressive campus activism and culture war narratives. By publicizing the King's Army protest, Turning Point UK acted as a bridge, connecting a fringe street-level group to a wider online audience, lending the march a veneer of legitimacy within the broader alt-right movement. Critics in the Canary flagged this as evidence of US-funded religious harassment, highlighting the interlocking nature of these organizations. This event encapsulates the double yankification of British politics. The tactics are a direct copy of American-style protests, designed for maximum media impact and provocation, rather than genuine dialogue. The King's Army's belief that life is a battlefield split between two opposing armies. This is not a mainstream view in British Christianity, it's an import. It brings a confrontational, uncompromising approach to public life. That approach threatens to poison political discourse and endanger vulnerable communities. The decision by the King's Army to wear matching black tracksuits during their march through Soho was not merely a matter of branding. It carried significant legal and historical weight. In the United Kingdom, the act of wearing a uniform to signify association with a political organization during a protest is potentially illegal. This prohibition dates back to the Public Order Act of 1936, passed to counter the rise of fascism in Britain. The law was designed to combat Oswald Mosley's British Union of Fascists, known as the Black Shirts, by banning the wearing of political uniforms and by banning the formation of private paramilitary groups. The Canary highlighted this potential legal violation in its reporting on the King's Army, noting Turning Point UK had promoted a group whose activities appeared to contravene a law nearly a century old. The 1936 Act makes it an offense for any person in a public place or at a public meeting to wear a uniform signifying association with any political organization or with the promotion of any political object. The rationale behind the law was that political uniforms are inherently intimidating. They suggest a disciplined, quasi-military force outside the state's control, and their presence can escalate tensions and lead to public disorder. The actions of the King's Army, marching in military formation while dressed in identical attire, fit the description of what the Public Order Act was intended to prevent. While the group describes itself as a spiritual army, its actions in Soho were undeniably political. Their protest targeted a specific community and promoted a clear political object: the rolling back of LGBT+ rights and the imposition of a specific moral code on society. Legal experts and activists have raised serious questions about whether their uniformed demonstration breached the law, calling for authorities to investigate. The historical parallel is stark and unsettling. The law was created to stop 1930s political extremists using uniforms and military-style discipline to intimidate their opponents and the public. Today, seeing a group adopt similar tactics, even under the guise of religious expression, raises questions about the line between free speech and unlawful intimidation. The debate over the King's Army's uniforms is not a mere technicality. It goes to the heart of how a democratic society protects itself from extremism. Ensuring political debate is through persuasion, not the threatening spectacle of a private army marching through city streets. Section 6. The psychology of a disciplined following. What kind of person is drawn to a movement that demands such unwavering loyalty and disciplined action? To understand the engine room of these far-right groups, we must look beyond ideology and into political psychology. A groundbreaking 2025 study by Goldsmith and Moen, published in Political Psychology. It examined personality traits of dedicated Trump supporters and found a powerful link to high conscientiousness. Conscientiousness associated with organized, reliable, responsible, thorough. One facet stood out: self-discipline. Self-discipline: pursue goals with determination, stay on task, control impulses for a larger objective. University of Vienna analysis: high conscientiousness linked to cult-like aspects of Trump support. Firm belief the 2020 election was stolen. Perception of Trump as an outstanding leader. Tendency to elevate him above most other presidents. This may seem counterintuitive. We usually think of conscientiousness as making someone a good employee or a responsible citizen. But here it can become intense, disciplined loyalty to a leader seen as strong. Researchers suggest extreme followership is rooted in valuing demanded self-discipline. Cult members often display stable, disciplined loyalty. That self-discipline shows up as attend rallies, spread the group's message, remain steadfast despite contradictory evidence. This profile helps explain groups like the King's Army. Organizing a disciplined, uniformed march requires reliable participants committed to following orders. High conscientiousness could be what makes the group effective. They are not chaotic rioters, they are organized and methodical. Section 7. The double-edged sword of conscientiousness. The trait of conscientiousness is not inherently negative. It is vital for the functioning of any society. Conscientious people get things done: dependable, efficient, orderly. They follow through on commitments. They adhere to rules and standards. However, expression is context-dependent. Combined with certain ideological worldviews, virtues can become tools for authoritarianism. Goldsmith and Moen found conscientiousness links to obedience to authority and low tolerance for uncertainty. High scorers prefer clear rules, predictable structures, decisive leadership. A leader offering a simple black-and-white worldview, a battle between good and evil, salvation and sin, appeals to those who find ambiguity stressful. This can create a view of the leader as infallible. Conscientiousness can intersect dangerously with right-wing authoritarianism, submission to established authorities, aggression directed at outgroups, strong commitment to traditional social norms. High conscientiousness plus RWA, an ideal foot soldier for authoritarian movements. Social dominance orientation, desire for one's group to dominate and be superior. Paired with high conscientiousness, It fuels relentless, organized pursuit of hierarchy. In the context of the King's Army, a follower high in conscientiousness and SDO wouldn't just passively believe. They'd be disciplined and active in asserting their group's moral and social dominance over the LGBT+ community, seeing it as their duty to do so. Section 8. From personality traits to political action. The connection between personality psychology and real-world events like the Soho March is not merely academic, it is direct and practical. The Goldsmith and Moen study helps us understand the how behind the what. It's one thing to have an extremist ideology, but it's another to have a group disciplined enough to act in a coordinated and public way. Highly conscientious followers are the engine that translate abstract beliefs into organized street action. They show up on time, they wear the uniform, they hold the banner straight, they march in step. Their reliability makes them invaluable to movement organizers. This dynamic allows small but dedicated groups to have an outsized impact. A potent, imported ideology, foreign funding and support, and a core of highly disciplined followers together create a powerful synergy. This synergy can take a movement from the fringes of the internet to the center of a major city's streets, generating media attention and spreading fear far beyond the immediate participants. The training provided by groups like the Leadership Institute, as mentioned by the New Republic, is crucial here. It teaches local activists how to channel the energy and discipline of their followers into effective campaigns. It provides the playbook for turning a group of believers into an organized political force. Section 9. A clear and present danger. The march of the King's Army through Soho on October 9, 2025, was not an isolated incident. It was a clear warning sign. It demonstrates that the pipeline from the American far right to the United Kingdom is not only active but is capable of producing real-world events that threaten public order and target minority communities. Protecting an open, tolerant, and democratic society depends on our ability to recognize these dangers and act decisively to counter them.